Oh yeah, thank you very much, guys. So today we're going to be focusing on Lewis Hamilton, his struggles with depression, and I know Kool-Aid's a fan of Hamilton, so this is not me talking bad about Hamilton, but I think given his history with racism and what happened with his family, and also the fact that he's a very sensitive person, I am too. So he's a sensitive person, and it's difficult to do well in Formula One when you're super sensitive. People like Max, they don't care if you even spit on their mother. They don't care. They say, "Okay, you spat on my mother. I don't care. I'm going to drive now and beat you." Those are the. But it's amazing that Hamilton has won 7 championships when he's that fragile, because he's fragile, but he's still winning, which shows you that he has an internal
Absolutely.
spirituality and focus
Yeah.
that helps him win. But I think that at his age, at the age of 39, and then after being cheated in Abu Dhabi 2 years ago, and then beginning to age and going through a lot of stress and going through his depression, even in the past, he fired his dad. His parents got divorced, and he's had to deal with problems with racism, or even if it's not racism, because I'm beginning to wonder why they cheated him in Abu Dhabi. But even if it's not racism, he's living in a racist world. And as a black person living in a racist world, when you enter the cockpit to drive, you're not only driving to fight other people, you're driving with an extra burden that white people don't have to deal with, racism. When Verstappen gets into the cockpit, he grew up in a white society and a culture that dominates everybody. So he's 100% confident. Same thing with other guys like Norris, even though I don't know what Norris's excuse is because he's a weak boy. And that's a story for another day. But the point I'm making is that Hamilton has to deal with a lot, the only black person in Formula One. But I think that at some point he needs to shut down. He needs to cut off all this Black Lives Matter and stuff and focus on racing because since he's already fragile, he needs to put every ounce of his energy into driving. So Hamilton has dealt with depression. The definition of depression is learned helplessness. That's what it is. That's how doctors say it. Learned helplessness. It's usually due to fatigue and to things that happen in your life. And I see some signs of that with Hamilton. He gives up too easily in races when he's not winning, and also he lets Toto Wolff and the rest of the team bully him and make him do strategies that he doesn't want to do. So I think that is partly a function of his depression, which has to do with racism that he faced when he was young. And then also he has a mixed identity. His mother is white, parents divorced. His dad and him didn't get along. He fired his dad as a manager. And every team that he's been on, I won't call him paranoid, but whenever he's not driving well, he starts to say that it's because of my race. So I think that all of that is kind of like too much of a heavy burden on him. And now that he's 39, and especially after losing in Abu Dhabi, it's just too much.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. As a highly successful and iconic athlete, Hamilton faces immense pressure to consistently perform at the highest level. When you are at that level, you are constantly being scrutinized, and the expectations of perfection can become overwhelming.
Yeah,
Sometimes the demanding nature of Formula One, along with years of intense competition, can lead to physical and mental exhaustion, causing a lack
yeah.
of motivation and enthusiasm. So I feel this could be one of the reasons why is experiencing a lot of psychological, like a
Yeah,
burnout sometimes.
yeah. I think he's slightly burnt out, and I think that his move to Ferrari is good because this is the same thing with McLaren. He won with McLaren, but at a certain point he moved to Mercedes and he had a resurgence. So I think it's time for him to move.
Look at Lewis Hamilton's life and times and experiences slightly differently. I see some things that I can see that you saw that I experienced myself. I was the only black kid out of five in my entire boarding school.
Yeah.
Um, so I know what it felt like to be the only black kid.
Sorry, I want to check you because not because I'm trying to interrupt you so we don't lose the start. You come from Nigeria. You come from a country in which we stand up with pride. He comes from a country in which black people are degraded, and he doesn't. And you also come from a very strong family, so as I do, and Afolabi. He doesn't have role models that are black that he can see that aren't under the oppression of white people. Continue. I think that's the difference. Continue. Yeah.
Well, it's the same England, and I was there in the 80s, in the early
Yeah,
80s.
yeah, but we went to school together in Nigeria before that, and you come from a very good Nigerian family, and you have a good identity. I don't think Lewis Hamilton has an identity because he's trying to be British and black at the same time, but I don't think he knows what it means to be black because he has no African roots culturally. That's what I mean. We have African roots, and it keeps us strong. But yeah, I won't cut in anymore. What do you think? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think his parents divorced in '87 when he was just 2 years old.
Oh, two. Okay, okay, okay.
And said that, from what I gathered, they said that they divorced because his she didn't his mother said she didn't want the hectic lifestyle of his father. That his father was always up and down, and it was stressful.
Yeah,
And
that might be the cause of his
also
depression. Yeah.
didn't really notice the drama, and
Yeah.
they were somewhat thankful that if they had stayed together, then the tension of growing up with in a divorced family household with depression would have affected him more. As to the actual nature of his depression issues, I mean, obviously, yes, there was depression, but I think it wasn't like he had a problem with it. I mean, he experienced it in the terms of his experiences, as you said, because of being the only black kid in Formula One. Um, but I think that you
Sorry.
can.
Also, he stated that he was depressed from the age of 13, also because he was bullied in his town, some small town in England. Continue. Yeah, because of
Yeah,
his race. Yeah.
well, he mentioned that bullying issue, but I don't really know how he had handled the bullying when he was growing up. When I was growing up in school, I was called a nigger by three kids. One lost his teeth. One,
Those were the days of Saint Saviour's when we kicked people in their stomach and their teeth. You and me. And probably we used to beat up people. We used to beat people. I was bad. My parents, we used to beat the white kids and call them pigs in our school. I'm serious. You can ask Kunle.
well, oh yeah, but I mean, in the school, I was outnumbered, and
Oh,
most
well, that was another school. Okay, yeah. But I remember our battles in Saint Saviour's too. Yeah.
yeah. So then most people were okay. I faced three kids that called me a racist. A Jordanian, I gave him a bloody nose. An English boy, I knocked out one of his teeth, and then another one who got me in a headlock. And I reminded him
You have a
about it.
bad reputation.
Kunle was bad. We were all bad. And
I,
headlock is dangerous. Headlock is dangerous because even if you're stronger than the other person, they can choke you, even if they're half your weight.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
was actually bullying Mr. Lakija's son, the richest man for Larry, who I haven't seen, and who looks just like Mustafa. And
Ah.
I,
Give me money, I'm your brother.
yes, I of him now. He looks exactly like you. And that particular chap, he went on his brother went to university with him, and I reminded him about the incident, and he's like, "Oh no, no, no! I was just a kid, please," because he's like he grew up and he's
Yeah,
like
he didn't do it again. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yes.
Hamilton. I don't know about his mental fragility. I think that
I don't think he's mentally fragile, but I think that because of everything he has to deal with, he's more susceptible to breaking down because he has to deal with more than the other drivers do. Yeah.
I think he's more of he has a lot of emotional.
No, he's very emotional, and I know what it's like to be that way too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, he was with his mom for a long time.
Yeah.
The nature
He's
of
very sensitive. He's a sensitive person. Yeah.
Because the nature of the breakup between him and his dad in 2010, I think that he said that the reason why he got rid of his dad as his manager was because it was affecting his relationship with his dad, because his dad was always making decisions based on emotion, and it wasn't
Yeah.
to have a good relationship with his father. So that's
Yeah.
and for some years they didn't really get on, but I think he said that they recovered that relationship.
Or they recovered, yeah. But I guess good points, Kunle. I'm going to jump in front because we have time. I guess the point I can take from what you're saying is that there's a lot of complex issues that Hamilton has had to deal with in his life. And it's amazing that he's able to win 7 championships. And I think one of the main things that Russell's beating him in one lap speed right now, I think is partly due to age and also due to the Hamilton never really fully recovered from losing. He's beginning to recover now. He wanted to retire after he lost in Abu Dhabi unfairly.
Yeah, I think that Hamilton's problem in Mercedes is the car and the team, and because he's leaving the car and the team wants to prepare that drive for the next person that's coming in.
Yeah,
I think Hamilton is sort of he's stuck in the middle of nowhere when it comes to winning the title. He's not in a bad position, but he's not winning the title, and they don't know how many more points he can get for Mercedes. Mercedes has to be careful though, because obviously the worse he does, the worse your constructors do, and then the worse paddock you get for the next season. So this action of experimenting with him and making him follow strategies that he doesn't want to do is detrimental to Mercedes.
Yeah, but here's what Wolf said. Wolf said that he's trying to find a fine balance between continuing doing these things this year or just giving up this year and maximizing 2025. So it's also a budget thing also. Just to be fair to Wolf, he says he even said it, I think I saw it yesterday on Minister of Formula One of Motorsports. He said that he knows that they're not putting in 100% effort in this year, but he says he's putting half of his foot in this year and half of his foot, or one third of his foot in this year, one third next year, and one third for 2026. So like there's limited. So he's trying to decide when to just cut this year's project off totally. Yeah, but anyway, we'll get back to that. I was going to talk about the comparisons on lap times, but it's clear. It looks like Russell's coming into the entry corner a lot faster than Hamilton. And also when Russell doesn't brake, he just gradually pulls off the throttle. But Hamilton is coming in a little bit slower and he's braking rather than coming off the throttle and everything. So it seems he's a little bit unconfident. My argument is that it's either because he knows the car isn't good or just because his mind isn't in it right now. Let's go to our Falabi. What do you think about that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. The
Yeah.
corner entry speed is where the issue is. One of the key talking points, around Hamilton's qualifying performances is how he's been struggling with carrying speed into corners, especially compared to Russell. If you look at the data from the telemetry, you'd notice that Hamilton's braking is more cautious compared to Russell, often braking
Yeah.
earlier or releasing the brake
And
pedal
sorry, and
too
also
late.
when they're pressing the throttle, Russell is more aggressive and goes to the
Yes,
max
Russell is
quicker
more
than
aggressive.
Hamilton. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this
But we
affects
have
his
to remember
momentum.
he's a 24-year-old boy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're young people are like I used to squat 500 kg,
Of course, they are more
200 kgs when I
fearless.
was young.
Young people are
Yeah.
actually more
Yeah.
fearless. So this
Yeah.
affects
Yeah.
his momentum through
But
high speed. Yeah.
I did squats today. I was only doing 100, but I'm
Oh, no, wait,
squatting.
that's still good. Yeah. That's good. So what were you saying, Afalabi? Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah.
was saying that
Get back. I need to get back too.
this
Yeah.
affects
Yeah.
his momentum through high speed corners. We saw that
Yeah.
clearly at tracks like Netherlands and Monza, where he lost time in turn one. Uh, the slower corner entry, which is critical in modern F1 qualifying, seems to point to a loss of confidence in pushing the car, especially to its limit. And another
Yeah.
thing I noticed is the input of the throttle and him hesitating at corner exits is another big issue this season. His
Yeah.
throttle, his
Yeah.
throttle
No,
application
no,
when,
no, no, I think. Yeah.
when
Sorry, go
exiting
ahead. Go ahead.
corners.
Yeah.
His throttle
Yeah.
application when exiting corners, you can see from the data, also from telemetry, that he's somehow hesitant compared to Russell, who is more assertive and, like you said, more aggressive.
Yeah. But in a long race, he beats Russell because he has better racecraft, better tire preservation.
Exactly,
But it's just the
exactly.
qualifying because the qualifying is full
Yeah,
speed, full speed,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, very, you guys, this is brilliant. I love this.